Chatawale had said that if Chatterhouse were a serious media house, they wouldn't go onto a Facebook page to go and pick something that he had written and stand on it to say that he didn't want to be nominated any longer. So when you put the nomination, the apology there, there was also those who thought that, well, if you say that the initial nomination, you know, brouhaha that happened were picked from Facebook, then your apology on Facebook is also not worth the while, and because you insulted them when they came. So that's been the other angle to the conversation. But let's see if sleeping dogs will be made to lie.
Certainly, we hope they are made to lie.
Like 4 years,
3-4
years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Is criticism good or bad?
What is
good?
How do you criticize?
How
do you criticize? If you criticize insulting people, it is not good. We will not endorse that. If you criticize constructively and then not just point out the problems, but make suggestions like we do here.
Which one is constructive?
Constructive is it means you are criticizing to help build it, to make it better, to improve upon whatever the person is doing.
So I'm saying
not
that
to say that it is totally bad and forget about it.
You don't even have
but to say, okay,
to,
exactly,
you know,
I can provide a solution, or there's another dimension we can take to.
Owners of Chatterhouse at the time were
Johnny, I'm not talking about
I know that you're trying to play the devil's advocate. I'm also responding.
What is insulting about
criticizing? We all like Chatterhouse.
It's just the way in which we say it. Even let's move away from criticism, just in communication. If I want to tell you, Bride, I don't like your color combination. If I say, that's different from, oh, Bride,
maybe next
time. The first one means
lose the blue.
Because we all have some private ego.
Please hang on. The first one you said means what?
It sounds insulting to me.
That's why I'm questioning.
No, but you see,
no, right, the way you say
but
the way I is different from it.
Look, I think that critique is important.
It is,
but you must do it in a very constructive way. You can't just rub it. Look, for example, there are many who think that the free SHS policy is not good. There are some who think so. But just saying it is not good doesn't solve the problem.
Exactly.
So
is that insulting?
What? No, I'm saying that if you say the free SHS, you say it's not good. What are you suggesting in lieu of that? How can we make it better?
No, but I'm asking, if I say it is not good and I don't proffer any option, is that insulting?
It is.
It's still the way you
it is insulting.
The way you go about it.
I tend to ignore such things.
Why? The way my facial muscles move when I say it or what?
No, see, Bright,
the tone it carries.
You are not.
Please convince me.
No, right, you are a journalist. You would understand if you go
You're
just trying to pull our legs.
The point is that you don't need to proffer a counter solution to help. But the point is how you say what you say. Say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean. End of story. So you can always look. Most of the bluntest people I know are in politics and in the pulpits. They say it as it is, but when they finish, they let you know that.
If Trump, if Uncle Trump says that we are asshole, is he insulting or he's being
in the way he said it? Yes. Obama had told us a few years back that we don't need strong men, but we need strong institutions. That speaks to what he was talking about because he had been in Africa. So, he had seen that our institutions were not working.
Obama would want to put it that way. Johnny thinks it is not insulting. Uncle Trump says that you are asshole and it is insulting.
It is. Because
the S word itself.
Exactly. Why would you even put it in inverted commas? It's not palatable. It's not something we want to hear on a daily.
My grandparents told me that if you have a sore, and instead of putting the hot water on it, in the past, when we were young, we used to cure our sores with hot water
and salt.
Yes, those of you who grew up in Accra, you don't know that.
We do.
And so my grandparents told me that if you want to cure your sore by putting the hot water around the sore instead of in the sore, it will grow bigger. So the conversation seems.
No.
But George has all the news guys take us away.
But why do you put hot water on your sore?
Let's move. I thought this conversation is over.
George has the news guys.
All right, George. Good morning again.
News is up next year on NewDay. And thanks for staying. We start off with the camp of the NDC, where the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has disassociated itself from comments by Member of Parliament for Odududu Edwin Nilante van der Poy. And the MP had suggested that the NDC will free the jailed former JIDA boss Abu Gapele if it wins power in the 2020 polls. In a statement, the NDC said Nilante van der Poy's comment does not reflect the position of the party regarding the fight against corruption and the matter involving the conviction of Abu Gapele in particular. The party's founder, Jerry John Rawlings, has also condemned the comments by the NDC MP. According to Jerry John Rawlings, such ideas and actions will only ensure the NDC remains in opposition for a long, long time. Away from the camp of the NDC, let's shift to the law court, where an Accra Circuit Court has refused to grant bail to the 10 accused persons in the Kwabenya police station attack after applications by their lawyers. The court, presided over by Justice Abuajitando, instead resorted to a expeditious trial, issuing a stern warning not to tolerate any excuses from both prosecution and defense lawyers.
On February 7, counsel for the fourth accused person, lawyer Bernardo Redu, filed an application for bail. The application was, however, moved on February 13, after which counsels for the 5th, 7th, 10th and 12th accused persons made an oral application praying the court to grant their client bail. The prosecution opposed the bail application, insisting the accused persons, if granted bail, would not avail themselves for trial. Delivering the ruling on the bail application, the judge said he had considered that Section 96(7) of Act 30 has been repealed, making all offences bailable. He added the critical issue is whether the accused persons will avail themselves for trial if granted bail. If not, bail must be refused. He maintained that, in the matter before the court, the accused persons were alleged to have rescued as well as escaped lawful custody. Justice Abuajitando said the liberty of some individuals could be curtailed for their own protection as well as the community.
The court held that after looking and considering all the circumstances in the case and also the allegations before the court, he is of the view that bail should be refused and instead resort to speedy trial or expeditious trial. He also issued a stern warning to prosecution that he will not tolerate any excuses. They should come ready with their witnesses. He therefore set the 9th, the 12th, the 14th and the 15th of March for trial to commence.
Meanwhile, counsel for the fourth accused person and female amongst the 10 accused persons expresses disappointment with the court decision to refuse bail and hinted of heading to the High Court for bail.
As a lawyer for an accused person who has a 6-year-old boy to take care of, I was of the view that looking at her circumstances, I mean, it warrants granting her bail because definitely she was going to come back to face trial. That is why I've been engaged as a lawyer, not to prove only her innocence, but her reputation as well. I'm sure I'll meet my client again. We might go higher and see if the court will be favorable to her.
Pupils of Dao Sanfo Municipal Assembly, JHS, study under trees after the collapse of their classroom block. They are frustrated by the constant disruption of lessons due to unfavorable weather conditions.
It's 7:20 in the morning at Dao Sanfo MA Basic School in the Ikuapem North Municipality of the Eastern Region. This is how pupils have had their lessons since April 2017, after a makeshift structure used as a classroom was demolished due to its poor state. Teaching and learning has since been held under trees. The District Assembly has provided 3 whiteboards and markers for the school and promised to put up a new classroom block for pupils. The situation is not only affecting academic performance, but enrollment. In 2017, the school scored 41.1% in the BECE, worse than previous years. Pupils want urgent action.
When it's in the noon, we always felt the hotness of the sun. It always scorches us. So we've been shifting from one place to another for a shade under the trees.
Because we are under the trees, we can't concentrate. When someone or animal is coming, we tend to look and that disturbs us. I want the government to come and build our school for us.
The Equiapim North Municipal Chief Executive, Dennis Abwaje, says the reconstruction of the school block has been captured in the 2018 budget.
I realized it was a very difficult situation. Sourcing for funding around that time was a bit of a challenge. But thankfully, this year, we budgeted for them. And so we are very soon going to start the processes for procuring whoever is going to get the school building up for us.
Until then, pupils must endure the hardship.
A pungent smell from a drain behind the Adreso Methodist Preparatory and JHS is affecting enrollment in the school. School authorities say some parents have withdrawn their wards from the school due to the stench and the danger the open drain poses to their wards. Here's a report by Beatrice Spiogaba.
The Adreso Methodist Preparatory and JHS, established in 1986, currently has an enrollment of 330 students. Due to its central location, it's used to be the preferred choice for parents for their wards to reduce transportation cost. There is, however, a constant reduction in the enrollment, which, according to the head teacher, is due to the open drain behind the school. Wastewater upstream the Adreso community passes through this drain. Solid and liquid waste upstream the Adreso township flows through the drain and lodges behind the classroom. Head teacher of the school, Samuel Victor Nano, explained the municipal assembly abandoned the storm drain it was constructing a few years ago. He told the news team the stench from the solid and liquid waste pollutes the air and adversely affects teaching and learning.
I'll be grateful if the assembly can come continue the drain to the other side of the town for us.
A JHS pupil, Lordina Entry Terrier, said the students have to leave the classrooms and go home when the stench is unbearable. She requested the authorities to complete work on the drain to enable them have a conducive teaching and learning environment.
The bad scent from the gutter distracts us from learning, especially in the afternoon. When it just happened that we just get out, and some people even get sick because of the smell. Please, I will urge the government to come and help us.
The Superintendent Minister of the Adreso Methodist Church, Very Reverend Ebenezer Ajamin Bedu, said the church would have continued with the project, but the cost was beyond its means.
Okay, with the children around, it's very dangerous. Anything can happen, any child can fall in. We were trying to consult the Member of Parliament around this area, but all attempts have been failed.
The Adreso Joabing Municipal Chief Executive, Beatrice Sewa Dechi, promised engineers of the Assembly would intervene by assessing the work done so far.
And on to a development that is making all the headlines, where a director of Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Emmanuel Kwesi Enin, has expressed disquiet over government handling of the alleged sex scandal against Ghanaian peacekeepers in South Sudan. Dr. Emmanuel Enin believes there could be more to the issue than has been reported.
Until the investigation report is out, I think we should be cautious in the manner in which we report on and comment on this case.
Ghana's role in United Nations peacekeeping duties dates back to the post-independence era, with Ghana having participated in several peacekeeping duties and having performed creditably. However, Ghana's quest to maintain its status as a peacekeeping nation has hit a snag following a report of sexual abuse charges being leveled against 46 Ghanaian police peacekeepers in South Sudan's internally displaced camp of Wau. The allegation came after two previous contingents participated creditably in peacekeeping missions in the same country since 2015. And the Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research Director at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Emmanuel Kwesi Enin, smells foul.
Peacekeeping is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And for the major troop contributing countries and police contributing countries, there's always competition. Who gets invited into a particular peacekeeping mission? How many men and women can you send? So this is about money and power games. So it's quite a bit of a disappointment.
Dr. Inin is also unhappy about how the police is left to respond to issues raised.
That is only the IGP who's written this letter, a very great press statement that he wants to send 3 investigators to join the process. But the rest of Ghana is quiet. And for me, that surprises me.
The security analyst says structure and procedural failures, as well as discipline, could be contributing factors.
Transactional sex may be legitimate in countries that are not in conflict and where you are not doing protection of civilian duties. But in peacekeeping operations, theaters, transactional sex is criminal. So please go out there and leave your libido behind. Because you go and misbehave, you don't only disgrace yourself, you disgrace your wife, your children, your father, your mother, and above all, you disgrace this country.
Dr. Emmanuel Kwesienin advised the police administration to check its approach to recruitment for such missions.
Because see, when you send peacekeepers, they are like diplomats. They are representing the country. They are helping to save lives. They are helping to protect civilians. So it is not just people who wear uniforms in your name. So the lessons that we need to learn from this relates to the selection process and the background checks, so we don't make these mistakes and send people who may behave in a way that dents the image that we have spent about 50 years cultivating.
Another Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development has threatened to close down landing beaches across the country that do not merit the supply of premise fuel. The sector minister, Elizabeth Afolokwe, said this will prevent fisher folk from engaging in diversion activities and the smuggling of the product. Here's a report by Frederick Clarence Williams.
Heavily subsidized distribution and sale of premise diesel fuel to fishermen for fishing purposes has been a major challenge since the inception of the idea in 1990. The original idea was to ensure the timely availability of the product to fisherfolk at an affordable price, but this has not been fully realized. Government spends a lot of money subsidizing premise diesel fuel for fishermen, while those diverting and selling the product to fisherfolk at about twice the price are creating artificial shortage. Against this backdrop, the Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Elizabeth Afolokwe, has inaugurated monitoring teams to supervise and oversee the effective distribution and management of premise diesel fuel for fishermen.
There are some landing beaches that fishing activities, there are not enough fishing activities taking place there. So we are doing auditing of all landing beaches across the nation. And those that do not merit the provision of premix fuel, we are closing them down.
She charged the police to arrest any persons or group of persons who indulge in diverting premise diesel fuel.
We urge every regional or district police command to also take up this challenge and help us with the monitoring of the premix fuel.
The chairman of Greater Accra Monitoring Team, Ishmael Ashiti, promised to work tirelessly to ensure the timely availability of premise diesel fuel for fisherfolk.
I will promise the minister we do all that we can to make sure that we protect the premise that is meant for the region. Apart from my group who will be doing the work, I have a team also at the background who are capable of monitoring activities from far, even monitoring the monitor.
A bridge linking Abisemi Adawa and adjoining communities in the eastern region is in a deplorable state. School children have no option than to cross the bridge as they commute to school. Yvonne Ikwe's report.
Ebisem and Yeboah Dawa, predominantly farming communities in the East Achimbi municipality, have a population of about 1,500. Residents lamented the bridge has been in poor state for over 8 years. The metals are rusty. Logs laid by residents to fill in open spaces are rotting. School children cross the bridge to school.
When I'm crossing this bridge, I feel very scared because the bridge is breaking down. And when I'm crossing it with a car or a motor, I think I'm going to fall into the water.
When we are coming to school and we are passing through this bridge was dangerous to me and my sisters and my younger sisters. Please, we are begging the government to help us to do this bridge for us.
Residents sometimes have to alight at one end to cross the bridge before motorcycles pick them up to continue their journey. Motorcycle riders have taken the opportunity to make business because taxis hardly ply the area due to the poor state of the bridge.
Our hospital was in Sunechi. Now we
have a hospital across the bridge. When a woman is in labor, we suffer. If we don't get a vehicle, we have to carry them across the bridge.
At times, our full staff goes back. No driver is interested in passing here.
The chief of the area is disappointed. Efforts to get authorities to rehabilitate the bridge have not been successful.
I believe duty bearers will act swiftly on this to put a smile on the faces of this resident. And now let's move on to the presidency, where the vice president has warned those who have been cited in the Auditor General for misappropriating 5.4 billion cedis not to run to the presidency for cover. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said those who attempt to seek refuge at the presidency will swiftly be handed over to the police service for prompt prosecution. Dr. Bawumia was speaking at the opening of this year's Audit Service Week celebrations here in Accra.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia recounted the 2016 Audit Service report, which cited some government agencies for paying 5.4 billion cedis to contractors for no work done.
The question we have, you found 5.4 billion from the recent audit, but how much was actually paid in the past that we don't know about for some of these ghost claims? It's a serious problem. I urge the Auditor General to sustain this exercise in order to instill discipline in public financial management at all levels of government and to deter public officers who might be contemplating to dupe the state using their unpatriotic practices.
Directors and public officers who engaged in such contracts have since failed to respond to an invitation by the Auditor General for questioning. The situation has angered the Auditor General Daniel Domlevo, who has hinted he has plans to block salaries of officials who have misappropriated government funds as from the beginning of March this year. The Vice President supports the move by the Auditor General to block their salaries and has warned them not to seek cover at the presidency.
The remedy is provided by Article 187(9) of the Constitution. The Auditor General has already told you that you should not come to him or his office. And we are also saying don't come running to the presidency. In other words, the law just says you should go to the High Court.
Meanwhile, the Auditor General Daniel Domlevo has cautioned MMDAs to stop offering bribes to auditors.
Such audit staff shall face punitive actions as dictated by Section 33 of Act 584, and same will be extended to staff of MDAs who are happy paying bribes instead of ensuring that they do the right thing.
To complete the 2017 audit report, the Auditor General has asked government to release their budgetary allocations to them.
There is the need to front-load the releases to the audit service at the start of the year because that is the peak time for audits, and the releases should not be delayed up to March, May, or June. If that happens, the audit reports may also delay, hence delaying the detection of abuses in the system.
The Vice President has since directed the Minister of Finance to release the funds this week.
Your message to government for the front loading of your budgetary releases, I think, has been heard very well and clearly by the Deputy Minister of Finance here. I am sure that when she gets back to the office, the front loading will be very frontal in her mind to make sure that we have these releases as quickly as possible.
Other speakers praised the Auditor General for showing commitment to recover all misappropriated funds. Former Auditor Generals were honored for their immense contributions to public service.
That's it by way of news this morning here on NewDay. There's more news updates on our website, 3news.com. Alternatively, you can join the news team at 12 on Midday Live. I'm Josh Queenie. Have a very good morning.
Let's touch on newspaper headlines now, starting off with The Finder. It says 20 Forex Bureau robbed in 2018. Just in Accra and Tema, operators cry for help. Also, Ghana is committed to fight against terrorism, the president assures the United States. Also, retrieve stolen cash and prosecute offenders. That's coming from our Vice President, Dr. Baumia. Then Rawlings and NDC reject Nielante van der Poel's comments. And then finally, government has disbursed 1.1 billion Ghana cedis for 7 flagship programs. These are the stories carried by The Finder.
Anyway, I'm not surprised.
But 20 Forex Bureau.
They are in Accra, Tema. Of course, my village doesn't have one, so I'm not surprised.
they will not go there.
Yeah, they will not go there.
But then I'm worried. I'm worried because there always a policeman. There's always a policeman in front of a Forex Bureau. Unless I'm wrong. Yes.
Not always.
Not always. There are those who seek the protection. What is the law? What's the rule? I don't know. But for most of the Forex Bureaus that I have visited, I've seen policemen, armed policemen in front of it. Is it a special arrangement that the Forex Bureaus themselves have with the police to provide such security? What is it? Right. And what may be the sudden, if you like, taste for this kind of robbery? Exactly. I'm curious.
Of course, the money is there.
Or is it that? Because I also know that I used to have a friend who ran a Forex Bureau where the thought is that after a certain time, they will phone a bank to come and pick the cash and go and drop it. Is it a habit that most of the Forex Bureaus are now keeping their cash in the location and not taking them away? So there may be insiders who are, for example, giving up tip-offs that, oh, this is happening. And I want to link this with a robbery that happened sometime last year in Boboashi. Unfortunately, I'd gone to visit someone and I had to see it, where 4 young men had guns. Somebody who was supposed to be running a Forex Bureau had brought some cash home, and I suspect they followed him and shot him in the foot. You know, and took away the money. Yes.
Johnny, I have been, at the helm of that before. My father used to run a Forex Bureau, and so fortunately, 2 times it happened. I was in school, but here was a situation where they had security. They even had policemen, but they were so good at trailing you such that they know when you're going to the bank. They know when you're coming back, and so they meet you in the middle of the road. And really, at that point in time, you are helpless. And even at the time when they get in, most Forex Bureaus have safes, and so you even need a combination lock to actually get the money, even as small as it may be. But they come in armed. Johnny, at that point in time, it's between your life and money. So you really think you can let the money go and you live. Because I remember one time when they used the gun to hit my father's head and we had to, undergo a lot of medical processes, but thanks be to God, he lived. But at that point, I remember vividly, because even in school, we heard the gunshots, but of course I was in school, I couldn't figure out what was going on. But I hear there was a truck coming in the direction of the armed robbers, and you would have thought maybe the truck could have mustered some courage and actually even tried to run into them or attack them. But at that point, really, you just think about your life, because once there's life, there's hope. Once you live, you can actually, but the problem is these armed robbers seem to have heightened in their criminal activities. They have no fear whatsoever. Johnny, you can have 2 policemen standing right in front there, and they will still attack you. Under what circumstance will Ghana get to a place where people can even enter a police barracks and thinking that there's supposed to be police on duty, at least not 1, not 2, maybe 3, but they are not afraid. They can enter cells and free people. Yes, so it's just a point where they fear no one anymore.
Maybe they don't fear the police.
But it's a matter of perhaps the owners not securing their premises were good enough.
How can you secure your premises?
Okay, so if you read the story, Elvis is suggesting that they took away safes in several of the Forex Bureaus attached. So I'm thinking that, okay, so these safes can be can be fitted into the building so that perhaps you need a mechanism to blow the building to get the safe out. But if they took the safe, it means that these are safes sitting there and it can be carried away. So if that is the case, then maybe the owners
most of the forex bureaus are just a walk-in kind of office. So you walk in, there's a counter, somebody sitting behind, and if you have foreign currency, you do the transaction, or you have local currency you want to purchase for it, and you do the transaction. At that point, I mean, if somebody comes and feigns as a customer, what do? You will open up and try and sell, which is what they do. I'm suspecting, and look, somebody told me when that incident happened at Bubash last year that this was an insider who had alerted them and told them, oh, my boss will go at this particular point and come back at this point. Like, so right as you said, they intercept you at your weakest moment. And they take everything.
They know your roots. They know everything. Because, you know, I told you, this particular incident happened with Atai. And so they were allowed to actually interrogate him and ask him, how did you get to even know who is who, where they're passing? And he says, I mean, they do a lot of homework. This is not just something that you wake up on the spur of the moment and say, I'm going to attack them. So they have timed you. They know your every move. They know how you go about your duties. Johnny, of course, some may not have been so cautious as to, you know, it was just the spur of the moment. But they'll get away with it because maybe they know where the safe is. They know that it's a portable safe. There's no a safe that is inbuilt, and so yes, they plan all that. But they can even plan so many times that in the weeks before, I know a particular incident where they put something corrosive on the rods behind the safe. They literally melted it and then, you know, took the money out. And so you come, you think everything is fine, only to open your safe and realize there's nothing. So all those things, I mean, we just have to be more cautious.
The police is suggesting that operators should beef up security. I think that for me, they have a huge role to play if we need to deal with it. Securing your premises. Some of the forex bureaus that I see, I don't think it's the kind of system you want to run when you are taking in money. Because just like a bank, there should be a barrier to where the clients can go.
But Bright, you see, that will feed, that will feed into a conversation we had about some 3-4 weeks ago, that within a certain area, you must feel safe enough to want to go there.
You remember business.
Yes, you remember that. So if the forex bureau is at, say, Jowolu, I should feel safe to come to Jowolu, to want to transact business. If I have some dollars on me, I should feel safe to want to go and get there and transact it. You don't have that. And you see, we have a problem to the extent that the UN says 1 policeman to 500 citizens. What we do have is more than 800 getting to 900 people to 1 policeman. So now you are asking the forex bureaus to do their protection. Then they will have to come to you, the police, sign off and get 1 policeman every day for them. That reduces the policing for the community and the citizenry. So we have a problem. I don't know how far they've gone with the police recruitment, which was supposed to be ongoing. But if you look at the numbers that we're trying to rope into the police, it's woefully inadequate. And there are also rumors that there are people within the police service themselves who aid these thieves. That we cannot toss away. And we have not seen proper investigation into that allegation. It's an allegation that's recurred, if I'm not too wrong, from 2013 up until this time. And we have not seen a concrete, investigation from the police administration to say that, oh, this is just mere allegation. And within that time, there are some policemen who have been arrested who are part of a robbery gangs and all of that with their official AK-47. So how safe are we? IGP says we must be safe. But do you feel safe? I don't. I don't think I am safe. I don't think I am safe.
The police released a report recently to say that they have dismissed a couple of their people. They have deranked a couple of them, and what so because of criminal activities.
We're asking a question. If somebody has formation or has been trained, sharpened to have certain skills, to be able to handle guns, handcuffs, and other, assault weapons, and then you say you have sacked the person, how well are we sacking up the person to be reintegrated into society? Because that person loses their job. And most of these people who are ex-servicemen or whatever find themselves working with private security. That's another risk, because some of them who didn't exit properly may feel that somebody owes them something.
Exactly. So they need to go get it.
Exactly.
Well,
you get the point. So we have a national security minister. We have national security coordinators. We have a minister for the interior. I always say we don't lack the capacity. Let us feel protected.
I doubt. Yeah, I doubt if we can ever get the bad ones out of these institutions. So the key thing for me, it can't happen where every police officer is Peter or Angel Michael. It can't happen. we certainly have the Judases and the rest in there. So the key thing is to get these.
But if it is just one Judas among the 12, that's fine.
Yeah,
we have five Judas among the 12 or 7 Judas among the 12.
Then there's huge trouble.
Then you have 2 Thomases.
So I think they should, the owners should take a look at, work closely with the police in fortifying their places. It is not easy today to walk into a bank and rob, okay? You might be able to get the money that is being served at the various, how do they call it? The tellers, okay? But to be able to get into the bank and remove the safe and go away with it, well, I don't know, maybe you might need an Schwarzenegger to go and do that. But so once the places are fortified,
but
the police comes in.
Those situations exist in the banks that have been robbed not so long ago.
Yes, I'm saying that you can go in and take the money being at the teller. Yes, that one you can easily. No, you can't go, not easily. If you are not,
if you are brave enough. Anyway, so let's rant. We're ranting, and we're told about how our policemen have been alleged to have sexually engaged the people they were supposed to protect out there in South Sudan, and it's interesting though. But George is ranting with the folks out there on the streets. Enjoy.
Mama will be Papa. Sorry, sir.
The United Nations mission in South Sudan has withdrawn a 46-member contingent of the Ghana Foreign Police Unit who on mission in that country over alleged sexual exploitation. And the police service is not really happy about this development, and they've pledged to fully cooperate with investigations and actions taken by the United Nations. Since 2015, the police service has contributed over 500 personnel with regards to peacekeeping. And so what do you want to see done with regards to this development? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
But Minjini say ni pano, omoye ayarefo, omoye disabled. Now what I say, we take advantage of
but we are vulnerable. We are from here. Shelter, a lot of things. It's only vulnerable. Into the one person come on Muka, they are easily to say yes.
Yes.
And you don't take advantage of that.
Fine. But Ghana how crampona you want to Ukraine Sudan will be my vulnerable. You can't have sabro for say watch auntie. Yeah, this cabin at that no mapping in your madam. Will be watching. But all request for sex, sell the money be no known that not of force on ya. Here sex no. Into omoye me can police for na do me can chop Ghana police for call peacekeeping na ya package o money the condom egusu condom ye friend wachi it then na condom na de show mo bag mu na ye de mo de bo mo achi no ye show mo fa nkoye meanwhile na ban na nka say o kwa fa girlfriend ko ana fa yere ko that means the man that they are going to use. So what happened? Where the abeye news ana me ba o ti say so madwuma no ye so mo ko man kwankoye hwe brajai obema kwatena ba bi busumi nsia na yerete ha Dr. Fonso Mayeti assess sex kra wanya kra na nyane 3 times a week now okwata ho 6 months onye bi da my looking for man repu nkola o man repu man no nemo no ni ono no wo se sika no de amano one na account me sure say man bi ampene and I know the man nya some investigation ehun say enya man ni nyina no mo agree to have sex with them ana seriously you know how does that
I learned say the police administration have also made a statement saying they want to further probe this issue. Of course. And I think that is how we should go. Because the way they are bombarding the thing around, as if like ABI or Mako for some but this is how we are looking at it now. But seriously, no investigation, you know, probably it may look different. When I mean it's a 46
are those who are involved in this. But the moment you see how they are carrying all the 46 is involved in this. Investigation completely here, but then the news is there already. Say, you see Ghanaian police, which for me, I think is too early for the UN to have gone out. Okay, so we gave them the police people. Our officers here, their superiors here, to also come to verify this before you put it in the public domain. But any bad news about Africa, sir? So then they want to release it.
You want us to massage it? We can massage it.
What is massage?
Body no be firewood. Now what job police for where there we inquire the police for no my idea. Me salute to them. But we want the bonnet woman there. What if they are representing Ghana? Almost representing Ghana. That's
but sleeping with a woman what is
airborne? Repeal. Was it a rape? No. It was mission Anna make us a mission abase a human or more nyana. Into a problem in the way.
Your mom go money.
Open fire. Mumbieja. Because
after
yes, of course.
Baby entertain you first, education.
They say education sex is very, very important. You every in a week crown. 1 year crown, so to me be able to.
They should go out there to be doing it because apparently they have their wives here. When this thing break up, never affect it on wives. Averagely, these are young adults. Definitely. I wouldn't speak to that. I can't speak to that. But we assume that since they are qualified police personnel, they could be having wives. I say managing issue where you.
Okay, no Kasaka. You have the fire. You to me for Ghana by and I say to me for Omoyere in your but the issue is that say Abapona they should find a way of solving this issue.
Just to disgrace the police.
Yes, to disgrace Ghanaian police. That's all. That is what they really want to do.
This thing is not meant for Ghana as Ghana police. It is because it's the black man who is involved. This is what you should know. United Nations who is putting this statement across.
I can't the same thing, but it's not good. You forget to say black we can't say white. The thing is not good. We shouldn't massage it. I don't know why it's not your mission is to protect vulnerable people, and you are going to exploit them.
And I make her say, you and Nagasa provide you condoms to the mom. Nobody condom
hello, statement
to sleep with themselves.
Was it mentioned in the statement some investigation, and they realized that they exploited them, they forced them, they used them.
Sexual exploitation. You are this so young one say, young vampire say, it won't be so.
But now the story is out there.
No. And I'm going to go many months.
Munkan tell you.
Even if it's true, me what is wrong with this? Once I rape, me don't say, I'm rape.
And every year, you and Omobekwa, every 3 months, we are for BI command for 1 month, not on your son for me.
Yes, for me, I can tell you, say, me encourage it, say, they should go out there be sleeping with people. Because now, you know, we are in a world whereby you need to be careful who you sleep with.
That's why they give
that one. And the condom aspect in a woman, it can happen. So they are already prepared. So if only they use the ammunition, then for me, I'm okay. Because their wives are sitting here innocently waiting for them to also do the job.
Security no to a craft of now police fighting. Monkoye Juma Kakramano. Mukuchamonum. No, Aha, na when the we kura na obetimi ukote.
Na mo jam mo yere mo wo fie na mo ko fire o baby. No de mo dwene mo yere mo. Feeling. Hwe we akwantu 6 months 1 year. It's no ot ho no ho yira no. Me da me nka so my boni o sex na kura o na obi akwaya nya na yere kwaye boni. But once a woman rape o mo na kwa rape case a ye de betu de na kwa court. O mo nya kwa mo no mo nya
investigation. Some pay as low as $1.
$1 no ti aka say $1 Ghana.
$1. Wouldn't be $1 cedi.
But no $1 no e bia na 20 Ghana. Na say se ye nua mo mba mo just say. So be 25.
So what of those?
Na ya mo be $1.
Oh, then no. But that means, you know, that means say you are trying to say they went in for prostitutes.
No, exploiting you. They exploit you. I can say, oh, Charlie, take this $1, and then I'll sleep with you.
Is it not prostitution?
Oh, I would say that
depending on the position of the person. When we know Sudan is having challenges, and they are very vulnerable. So anything little will use somebody to do the wrong thing.
What English?
Exploitation. Sudan, they don't smile, they don't laugh. Almost because they are vulnerable. Like I said, they are in need. And almost who told you that those women don't need that sex at that time? In Kaonye, in Kon just $1 now. Who say a peanut no? Onji no conquer yes idea no. Or say and who ya now?
Okay, according to some security experts, I almost see this whole development is as a result of low morality. Morals are some way.
What is morality?
We lack morals.
Oh, and it is true.
Of course.
It's true.
Before anybody, even sin as in sin, anything that we accept as sin, when you don't have strong moral background, you are fallible. That one must be fine. It cut across not only sex. Anything little, like even insult, when you are not morally trained, you can easily use certain words you are not supposed to use.
So moving forward, what do you guys want to see in terms of, let's say, maybe a next contingent eco peacekeeping? What do you want to see?
Probably there's a good find. Say whether a one. Like I said, the prophet Asha will come. Whether a nuku and you need to do something about it. And the only thing they say, the next troops never corner. They surely find a way of, you know, dealing with Omwa to the extent say they wouldn't go and then bring back this same because we really don't want to hear this. Obi am fan sabin kumu trene jefi. Omu ye police for ye do omu ye pomu.
Me say next troops never come. Omu ni omu nkasa ye say. Omu kwa omu show omu suye. No mu so ya. Omu de condom no supply ye wo Ghana ha say. Ye fa ma ye soldier for me say condom enya makroni. Na uto emu a wo hwie gu so. Utumi mu obi condom ade ama ofa nkwa ye den. It's all Chinese say ofa nkwa ye sex. Na ode akwa kwa
prevention, but is it yes. When trigger it?
I always tell my people.
Me my name me say condom no more supply mo condoms ni biom.
Oh David.
No more Bible show me.
No, keep this gun. A BBC and then you shoot.
As an army officer, as an army officer, you need to protect yourself. When the enemy attacks, you defend yourself. So condom given to them, in a way, they have to protect themselves from the enemy.
But it don't be firewood like that one that we all know. The condoms must always be available.
Yes.
Anywhere they go, they have to carry the condoms for the sake of their families in Ghana and they being human beings. It could be that you may stress somehow and you may not be offering money for, but you find yourself in a position you have to do it. And if you go back to your past and you find it, you do it to the sacrificing of.
Yes, of course. Because Ghana police they dress neat. They dress neat. They say, trust me, dressing it. You are not Burma Ghana police ni Burma Jinawa.
So it's mixed reactions coming from the public with regards to the alleged sexual exploitation by a foreign police unit who are on mission in South Sudan. Let's know your thoughts on this. Log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3, and on Twitter, it's a News TV3. Always be on the lookout. I might be in your community, so we sit and talk to issues like we've just done.
Thanks for watching, and keep watching NewDay.
Welcome back to NewDay. The Times begins the morning and says that don't bribe auditors. AG warns MDAs of punitive action when caught. A photograph of the Auditor General, Mr. Daniel Demlevo here. $1.5 million allocated to audit service to go paperless, and we're on the path to resilient, robust economy. President tells American governors, and that's on the time. The statesman says government aids audit service with $1.5 million to fight systemic corruption. And today, newspaper says that declare your assets. AG charges public officers who earn over 3,700 Ghana cedis. Those are some of the papers I have this morning. My guest to do the talking, to my extreme left, the Member of Parliament for the Mion constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Mohammed Abdul Razak is here. Good morning.
Abdulaziz.
Abdulaziz, sorry.
It's okay,
good
Bright.
morning. I hope you're good.
I'm good, Bright.
Thanks for joining us. I also have here Member of Parliament for the Okaikwe Central Constituency, Honorable Patrick Ebuama. Good morning too.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
By His grace, I'm well. Yourself?
I am good too.
Amen.
I am good too. Even before we start our conversation, the N1 highway is in your constituency. And I'm sure you watched the dangerous highway aired by TV3. When you spoke at that time, you said that efforts were being made to deal with the situation. Has anything changed?
Thank you very much. On that issue, I think the Minister for Roads and I have been engaging on it. It runs through about 6 constituencies, but I have been at the forefront of advocating for serious measures to be put on that highway from Ayawaso West, Okaikwe North, then you come to my place, Okaikwe Central. Past Central proper, Anyaso to, then you go to Wejagbawe, then some parts of Ablekuma North, that's Kwashiman area. I've seen a proposal that about 50 bridges are supposed to be constructed on many interchanges or highways in this country, and that stretch, that 14.1 kilometer stretch, is part of it. I must commend Honorable Amwakwata for that initiative. I believe that it all calls for serious collaboration between all the stakeholders to raise the needed funding to be able to reduce the carnage on that highway. I'm sure I granted an interview with your news team.
Right.
Yes, and I must commend her for a very good job done. We spoke at length, and I gave her some statistics and some worrying scenarios on that stretch, and I believe a lot more has to be done. We are also engaging the people who work around the highway to also adhere to good motor traffic rules and regulations, as well as the police ensuring that people follow the right routes on the highway. Then the individual pedestrians, they should understand that walking is an exercise. They will tell me, oh, Honorable, the footbridge is too far apart. I ask them, your life and you waking up early and setting up early as against you scaling over that small bridge, you have to think twice. So, Brian, this is what
we hope to see something get done on it.
It's something that is dear to my heart.
Grateful. Member of Parliament for the Okaikwe Central Constituency. Let's get to
before you
want to make a comment
before you proceed.
Okay.
When you make time for our colleagues in the urban centers about bridges,
we should also make time for you.
You should be making time for the feeder roads in Mion, where people will still have to struggle with very bad roads. We are looking at the trauma and the trouble that pregnant women would go through to be transported to health centers, farm produce. Very, very important. You've done a very good job for my friend, Dr. Oko.
Right.
And we are doing same for my brother and friend here. Extend that.
I'll do some.
extend that same facility to the rural MPs.
Abdulaziz, you know, Mission is in the 3 northern regions. Okay. Certainly, Mion will be a bus stop. I guess. We'll be there.
Mion is a beautiful place. You don't need to go there.
Okay.
With our
right.
poor feeder roads.
Okay, grateful. All right. The Heritage this morning says that JJ Nketia punched NDC MP over Abu Gapele's solidarity comment. Now, the opposition NDC has disassociated itself from the comment made by a member of parliament for the Odududu constituency about a conviction of former national coordinator of JIDA, Mr. Abu Gapele. The MP, in an interview on Accra-based City FM, said the party would release Mr. Pele from prison if it recaptures power in the 2020 general elections. Now, he goes on to say between 2001 and 2004, Mr. Chachu Chikata, Danagbadakpi, Ibrahim Adam, Kwame Pepe and co. were sentenced, but it did not stop the party from winning elections. However, the party in a release signed by General Secretary, Mr. Siedun Ketia, said the sentiments expressed by the MP on the above subject do not reflect the position of the party. The party added that they initiated investigations into the corrupt case and urged that Nanado-led administration to follow suit. It will therefore be observed that after successful conviction has been achieved in this particular case, the initiator will turn around to free any person who has been convicted as a result. Mr. Rawlings has also spoken, and he is suggesting that that's a very bad comment, and these are some of the comments, according to Mr. Rawlings, that will keep the party in the position for a long time. That's the heritage. Honorable Abdulaziz, let me begin with you. This from the party should be welcoming and serve as a deterrent to others who may make certain comments without perhaps consulting the party on the position on certain issues.
Good morning to you, good morning to my colleague here, and good morning to our cherished viewers, especially my constituents back at Myeong. It's true that it serves as a check, not only for members of parliament, but for all those who communicate for the party, to make sure that whatever they say publicly is in sync with the party's position. The General Secretary of our party has stated clearly what the position of the party is. The sentiments that were expressed by my senior colleague, Honorable Ni Lante, was a personal one. He's someone I admire, I must admit. I serve on the same committee with him. He's the ranking of the committee that I serve on, the Committee on Local Government and Rural Development. He's a very fine member of parliament, but I must admit that he got it wrong this time round, and the General Secretary of our party has stated clearly what the position of the party is. I listened to some other commentators who wanted to interpret that to mean the position of our party. The General Secretary has stated clearly that not even in the remotest sense do we associate with that comment. You see, Neil Antevanderpoel is not just a member of the NDC. He is also a member of parliament. And so if you want to say that simply because he's a member of the NDC, his comments represent the position of the NDC, would it be justifiable to, for instance, also conclude that it is a position of parliament? Absolutely no. And so our position is very clear. In fact, no political party or government can free a convicted person. It doesn't lie within the bosom of a political party or the executive, if they were to be in power, to free a convicted person. It lies within the rights of Mr. Abu Gapele if he wants to seek a review at the appeals court, whether under President Akufo-Addo or under the government of the NDC from 2021. I mean, it's something that he can exercise, and I'm sure the case would be determined on its merit. I'm also aware that the founding father of our party, President Rawlings, has also shared some perspectives on that matter on his Facebook wall. well, you cannot disagree with him when he expresses his personal views on some of these matters, except to say that his sentiments and perspective that he shared was rather very harsh on the party that he founded. I mean, those were the positions of Neil and Van der Poel and not the party. And so to have extended that one to mean the position of the party and insinuating that we could be in a position for a very long time, I think that is it was needless. And the founding father of our party could have avoided that. Some of these things tends to deepen the internal crack that we are still dealing with. You know, the posturing of our founding father, and sometimes the way and manner we react to some of them does not help the cause of our party's cohesion. I would want to urge my colleagues in Parliament, our communicators, to take it very easy. I mean, our General Secretary has spoken. We don't share in the sentiments and comments of Neil Van der Poel. And as a government or a party that believes in the rule of law, the party that was born out of the core principles of accountability and probity will be the last to be seen freeing someone without any basis who was found guilty of causing financial loss to the state. It must be put on record that Mr. Abu Gapele was not jailed for corruption.
Right.
That must be put in perspective. That must be stated clearly. He was convicted for willfully causing financial loss to the state. An
abetment of...
exactly. The likes of Adam Ibrahim and all those that Neil and Van der Poel referred to were not convicted of corruption. They were convicted of willfully causing financial loss to the state. Maybe sometimes you exercise bad judgment as a public officer, and then the law comes after you. You are unable to defend yourself while you take certain certain decisions. And so let's see how we navigate out of that.
All right, I'm grateful. He's a member of Parliament for the main constituency. Honorable Patrick Boama, the comment from the MP, did it reflect from the very day you heard it? Did it reflect the position of a party? The party now says that that is not what we believe in. Should we take it?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to you and viewers and my colleague MP. Who am I to deny the NDC the right to come and clear the mess by my good friend Neil Antivanda? For me, it was an insulting statement in the eyes of the Ghanaian public. Having pushed for this trial, the NDC itself started it. The judiciary was given a free hand to look into the matter and came out with a verdict, conviction and a sentence. And for a member of parliament to make such comments that, oh, when the NDC, God forbid, wins the 2020 election, we are going to release them, and that other colleagues who were jailed previously under the NPP regime, regardless, NDC won the 2008 election. It was an unfortunate statement. One, I think it was disrespectful to the judicial system. Two, he didn't consult his own party. Three, his party has come out to issue a statement to dissociate itself with the comments made by Neil Van der Poel. Question is, do they do proper consultation when such issues arise? Former President Rawlings has been cracking the whip somehow to ensure that the term probity and accountability and the moral culture that he believes in has vanished within the NDC, and the NDC has lost some credibility when it comes to the fight against corruption. So lately you see that he's been talking tough on issues, he's been making his case, and to the extent that he said the NDC has lost the moral compass. It's like flying a plane, and if the compass or the radar is lost, then it means you are going down the abyss. So it's good that he's the founder, even though most of them now don't recognize or give him that respect. I believe that his asserting himself as the founder of the party, trying to bring everybody in line with his views and his fight against corruption. So I believe the party did what is right, and I believe you can't have two choir masters. Once the general secretary of the opposition party speaks, let's respect their views, but we'll leave the rest to the good people of this country to judge as to whether it was a saving statement from the general secretary, or let's put it this way, that they never thought a member of parliament was going to speak that way. So we give them the benefit of the doubt.
You see, Bright, very, very interesting. My friend has just revealed that I actually wanted himself to say that the prosecution of Mr. Abugapele started under President Mahama. That is the political will that we need in fighting corruption.
Nobody has
the political will to be able to prosecute one of your own. This was a chief executive officer appointed by the same President Mahama, who had the political will to conduct some investigations and to put him for trial before the court. That is what we are asking our colleagues to emulate. The shining example of President. Take it easy.
Take it easy. Did this case not go to court? Because from all indications, it was a bad case.
Oh, you see, Bright, I'm just telling you that this same chief executive who was put before trial by the government of President Mahama, the Attorney General, that was also appointed by President Mahama, put him before trial. This same person was appointed by that same President Mahama. In fact, that's all that we require to be able to fight corruption. We have all the good laws in this country. We have all the institutions that are clothed with the authority to fight corruption. But what we lack as a country is the will to prosecute one of our own. And that is what President Mahama demonstrated. Mr. Abugapele was not the only person who was before a trial. Even the National Service boss, Mr. Imoro, several other people were dismissed. Mr. Imoro and Abugapele were put before court by President Mahama. We are requiring President Akufo-Addo to do same to his ministers and chief executive officers who have been alleged to have been engaged in some form of corruption of the other. That's all that we are requiring them to do.
Okay.
And to now tell us that President Rawlings, being the founder of our party, and we now abandoning him today, he's your newly found bosom friend. The same president, the same former president, whose privileges and protocols that Mr. Akufo-Addo then as a foreign minister unilaterally withdrew. Today he's your bosom friend. You want to defend him against us. You are only feeding into the internal cracks and benefiting politically from that.
Okay, I see. I'm grateful. But is it really making? Is it legitimate to say that the fight against corruption is failing because we are unable to prosecute our own when we are in power?
Not necessarily, because you see, the most difficult job for a prosecutor is to be able to do a proper investigation, come out with clear evidence to be able to convince a court. That is why the principle is that you must prove beyond reasonable doubt. So my colleague just said allegations. Mere allegations doesn't establish any guilt. You understand? You may have all the allegations, you may have certain facts, but to be able to prove it, you end up disgracing yourself in court. Honorable Osei J, Professor Jambafo, Akoto Osei, Asamoah Boateng, they were all sent to court by the NDC. But what happened? They failed because they didn't have any evidence to back their claim. So just sending people to court for mere allegations, you'll be doing the state a disservice. You must ensure that whoever you put before court, you're able to substantiate, because this case, like you rightly said, was very bad, and the state and the public knew about the facts. So it was very easy to prosecute. And it didn't even take a year to do that. It took more than three years to...
Yeah, the fourth year.
Fourth year. So prosecution is very difficult. That's why my friends will say, oh, you say you jail us. But President Kufuor sent his own minister to court.
He's been criticized.
Which minister? Which minister?
Malam
it's unfair. It's unfair. It's unfair.
You're not in
Minister, it's unfair. You prosecuted Malam Issa Sefi because he was not one of your own.
Aziz,
allow
Patrick.
Okay.
Oh, Aziz.
Sorry, Minister.
You want to take over from right? No problem. As a host,
I was just helping you, Minister.
If you want to take over.
I was just helping you.
So,
I was just helping you.
Right. This is why corruption has to be tackled up.
Once again, not the name. Who they prosecuted? What's the name?
Whether MPP or NDC, you took issues with the finance minister, went to Shraj,
and adverse finance
and he was cleared. You've been making allegations. That's why you feel when you take people to court, because you won't do the proper thing, you will not investigate well, and so allegation. They say corruption. Then they send you to court and they go and fail. You understand? So I'm telling you, Abdulaziz, prosecuting somebody, the court is always...
Just to correct you, the minister wasn't clear.
I don't want us to go...
When you were talking, I did not interrupt.
But what we know is that the adverse findings made were not what the persons took to court.
So they should prosecute him on those adverse findings.
Take him to court.
So you let's move on.
Interesting, right?
Okay.
Do you listen to that?
All right. Let's move on. Now let me go to the finder this morning. Page 10. That story is also carried by the Daily Graphic on the front page. It says that government disburses 1.1 billion for 7 flagship programs. That's the way the finder puts it. It says the Ministry of Finance has since January 2017 released over 1.1 billion. That's about 1,127.5 million cedis to finance key programs initiated by the government. Minister of Finance disclosed this. So, one district, one factory, 91.5 million. Free senior high school, 205 million. Planting for food and jobs, 105 million. 126 million for national ID program. 400 for infrastructure, for poverty eradication. 100 million for school feeding program, and another 100 million for the scholarship secretariat. These are the programs, and this is government attempt at ensuring that all these programs get the needed support. Now, Honorable Patrick Boama, some have suggested that the government has been slow in these flagship programs. For instance, they talk about the one district, one factory, and which they claim it doesn't seem to be seeing the light of the day. 91.5 million. Now, the story says that for the one district, one factory, the EG3 stamp project in the Volta region is one of them. Processing charcoal for export, that's what the project will do. The Amantin cassava project located in the Bonafo region. The rest are Begro cassava project in the eastern region, Adaklu cassava project in the Volta region, and then the pineapple project in the central region. Government raising financing for these projects. How well is government doing?
Government is doing very well, Bright. You see, government wants to aid the private sector in setting up these factories. Government could be an equity partner in some of these projects, but the private sector wants to see that government is serious about this program. It's a very beautiful program. Everybody supports it, and is going to help increase the foreign exchange base of this country if we're able to set up these factories, most of which are agro-processing factories, to be able to export some of them, like you mentioned. You need to do a very good analysis of all the proposals that are brought to you. Banks want you to show serious commitment by putting in place some matching funds, like government has done. 91.5 million. Right. You're talking about $21 to $22 million. So the banks is okay. we are clear.
That's enough commitment.
That is enough commitment from you that if we receive a proposal from Bright to set up a cassava processing factory to help Guinness or other companies that need the starch to be able to brew some beer or Guinness here, then we'll be able to lend to that investor who is going to set up that factory in Begro or wherever, or the pineapple farm that has to be established in Ekumfi to feed the factory that is being set up over there. So you need a good business plan, a good business model to get the buy-in from the banks, and government being the leader in this area in terms of government policy to help every district set up a very important factory or a commercially viable business entity ought to show commitment, which government is doing. My colleagues during the debate on the President's State of the Nation address, you said you were going to set up factories. We are not going to rush and fail. No. We are going to ensure that the right steps are taken, the right decisions are made.
So that's why the delays?
Of course. We don't want them to come back like they promising us 200 secondary schools and not being able. We want to be able to put the right steps and measures in place so that once we set up or help Bright to set up this private sector-led entity, that factory or entity will be able to stand the test of time. Because mind you, you will have banks investing in it. You have private people putting their monies into it. Government has money, some equity in some of these institutions or setups. So it's not about government going to put money and say, I'm building a factory. No, we are going to be in partnership with some individuals. Other forms of support could be from technical or other private sector-led support. So 1.1 billion at the end of January was released. We passed the budget in November or December, thereabout. And if you look at the breakdown, 91.5 million for 1D, 1F, 2.5 million for free senior high school. They don't want to hear about that. 126 million for the National Identification Program. You know that our brothers and sisters out there want a very good national ID system. We also need a good national ID system to be able to check a few things in this country, and also to ensure that we protect and raise the needed revenue.
So we can, for instance, forgive government. For instance, in the National ID program, the first phase should have seen the end of October, some registration done. But we could not meet a deadline, and we can simply say that because government is trying to dot their I's and make sure the T's are crossed before they are properly implemented.
Right, it's not entirely the case. The case is that, my colleague will attest to that fact, there were some amendments that ought to have been done in the previous legislation. And I don't know if my colleague was in the House, Dr. Kotose, who moved a motion for that amendment, which was passed. So there's an amendment to the existing national identification law, which Parliament has passed, to incorporate the registration of certain names, date of birth, place of birth, and a few things. And also to ensure that some aspects of two people guaranteeing, and all those things were put in place in the amendment. So the president was issued the first Ghana card. His was not a difficulty, but we needed to streamline it and make sure that the law and the proper legal regime was in place. So from the releases by the Minister of Finance, you see that he's serious about the program. Government is serious about the program, because you can't send the president to launch a program and then allowing it to fail. So 400 million Ghana cedis, that's a lot of money. If you divide by 4.4, that's over $100 and something million has been released for the program as at January. Another 600 million was released, in February. Government has also paid over 3 billion Ghana cedis of arrears that the NDC left out of the 3.7 billion that the government projected to. So all in all, government is doing well. Government is serious about its flagship program, free SHS, school feeding, which we started, but they claim they came to expand. We've expanded it better because the Social Democratic Party has never started any social intervention program. We are here to see one anyway.
That's not true. That's
so,
not true. That's
so
not
when
true.
you have your turn, you tell us health insurance,
Mm.
school feeding, capitation grant, free bus ride, and what have you. We're all started by a right-wing capitalist party or the MTP. So, right, that's what I have to say on this.
I'm grateful.
I must commend the finance minister and his team for a wonderful job.
Honorable Aziz, so this is what the finance minister is doing, and the honorable member, your colleague, explained that perhaps the delays in these projects were simply to make sure that the right things are done. What do you make of perhaps you getting to know today that government has finally released some monies for these programs?
Right. You see, the challenge with the MPP and President Akufo-Addo is that they are finding it very difficult to live by some facts of life. That when you lie in the morning, you are definitely going to lie in the afternoon to be able to cover up for the lie that you lied in the morning. Today we are being told by the finance minister that they have released an amount of 1.1 billion Ghana cedis for their flagship programs. 1D1F, 91.5 million Ghana cedis. Let us deal with 1D1F. Prior to the 2016 general elections, we were told, and even after the elections, Ghanaians were told on countless occasions that the government was going to establish a factory in every district. What it means is that that is supposed to be done between 2017 January to December 2020. Logically, one would I mean, going by your own logic.
He's
take it
answered
easy.
everything
Take
for
it easy.
government.
Take it easy. Going by your own logic, we should have been expecting at least 50 factories every year.
That is your logic,
Take
not my
easy.
logic.
When we said we're doing 200 senior high schools,
that is your
even
logic.
before we ended our term, you were asking us why we're not doing 50 per year.
So which
Going by your
when
own
our
logic,
term
take
ends,
it easy.
then you ask us.
Take it easy. That project even lacks clarity. Whether it is state-owned, state-driven, or private sector-driven project, we don't even know. You tell us that government is going to do a factory in every district. Now it is going to be private-led process, and that government would only facilitate. In fact, every successive regime, right from Kwame Nkrumah days, up to down, have facilitated private sector development. There's no two ways about it. It is not any special initiative. We were here when the president went to cut salt for the construction of the factory at Ekunfi somewhere in August 2017. And we're told that by the end of 2017, they would have started work on 51 of such factories. Right. Today is 27th February 2018. Even that salt that they were to cut at Ekunfi is now a forest for it's true. Nothing is going on there.
TV3 has their
TV3,
cameras. You can go there.
There's nothing
Ekunfi
going
is
on
just
there.
an hour and a half from Accra, so you just can go and speak to the promoters of that. So we can't sit here and just spew what we don't know.
Right.
Just 1.5 hours from here.
Honorable Bama, you lie. You see. You please go on. He says that there's nothing that's on the ground. You go.
The president and his ministers, except the minister for trade, who is supposed to be in charge of that project, you all went there in state vehicles. You wasted our resources, went to cut salt for a project that you were not prepared for. You promised us 51 by the end of the year. The year is ended, we're in February. February will be ending tomorrow. Not even a single factory have you been able to establish. Even that one you went to cut salt for has now been turned into a forest. And you still have the guts to tell us that you have released 91.5 million Ghana cedis for 1D, 1F. It's not just the money. It doesn't take time, but the policy clarity. Let us know what we are doing in for instance, in Tamale, in Myong and Yendi. Nobody even knows what we are talking about. I have filed a question on 1G, 1F. Yes, but I can assure you, I have filed take it easy. I have personally filed a question to the trade minister to come and speak to these issues. In your district? But not in my district, in the entire country. Okay. But, Boam, I can tell you that I am very, very suspicious that that question will be declined.
Oh, how?
Oh, yes.
You're imputing wrong motives on the speaker.
I'm not imputing any wrong motive. Yeah. Myself and you are in the house. We know how the house is run. We know how the house is run. I am on the floor.
You mean some questions can be declined?
The speaker
oh, yes.
Oh, I see.
And they are required to give by saying, like I'm telling him, we are all in the house. And we know what's going on.
The speaker is not here.
You see,
you cannot.
Take it easy.
Okay, you go.
Oh, Bright, I'm on the floor. Just allow me.
Yeah, please, go on.
You see, the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, is it Lindsay?
Robert, yeah.
Somewhere in October last year, said government was ready to rule out about 173 of such factories. Where are we today? You must learn to be humble to admit that some of the pledges that you made in the run-up to the 2016 general elections was just to hoodwink the Ghanaian public into voting for you, which you have succeeded. You can lie to win power, but you cannot lie to govern. That is the fact. You are talking of releasing 205 million Ghana cedis for free senior high school, and you want us to celebrate you when you made a provision of 400 million Ghana cedis for the same free senior high school in the 2017 budget, and you ended up spending less than 100 million Ghana cedis. The question that the Minister for Finance and Education, and for that matter, President Akufo-Addo, should be asking himself is that how did the schools fend for them? Because if in your own estimate, 400 million Ghana cedis would have sufficed for a term, and yet you release less than 100 million Ghana cedis. And nobody asked the question again. The schools ended up with that less than 100 million Ghana cedis.
But these disbursements not done continuously?
No, right. After the release that they did, not even a penny was released again.
After the first one?
I'm telling you.
That's what you know.
Exactly. We're in the second term. Very soon they will be ending the second term. Another budget was made, some 1.2 billion Ghana cedis was made for the entire year for 2018. Reasonably, the first term should be 400 million Ghana cedis again. You have gone to release 205 million Ghana cedis, and we think we should celebrate you. And these are even allocations, so those monies have not been paid to the schools. Those are just mere allocations. I've allocated 205. These monies haven't hit the accounts of those schools.
iPad. How can you support
infrastructure poverty
eradication plan?
Yes.
You release 400 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
You see.
Yes.
There are certain in Dagbon. They say there are certain things that when you have shame, when you know shame, you don't do or say. iPad. You promised every constituency an amount of an equivalent of $1 million at the current exchange rate of 4.6. You are looking at
exchange rate is not 4.
Well,
please.
I'll give you 4. I'll give you 4.
Please.
Let's assume it's 4.
Let's be honest to Ghanaians.
So you're happy with the 4. You're happy with the 4. At the exchange rate of 4.6, you are talking about some 4.6 million Ghana cedis that you promised to do for every year for your 4 years. 2017, not even a cedi did you release for iPad. In fact, the minister in charge of special initiatives, Howard Kumsen, is on record to have stated somewhere in August last year that the money was ready for disbursement. You did not release 1 penny. You guys don't have the money.
Aziz, have you
you guys don't have the money.
Right.
You guys don't have the money.
Whether he sent
his project,
whether he sent his project
for the whole of 2017, you are aware You have a constituency.
Yes.
You have a district. How much was released?
They've been
How
there.
much? No, I'm not asking who has been there.
They've been
How
there.
much was released for IPEP?
The thinking is that the money was going to be paid like the common fund for them to misuse. No.
We should hail you. We should gloat.
Of course, it's a very beautiful program, and it will succeed.
You can lie to win power. You cannot lie to govern. None of your flagship programs have you been able to implement well. Planting for food and jobs, 105 billion. The minister comes to tell us that the Planting for Food and Jobs project has recruited 745,000 people. The Ministry of Agri has no responsibility and mandate to deal with data. The entire public service of this country is a little over 600 million. 600,000.
Right.
You tell us that within a year for a project, you have recruited 745,000. Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Aziz never pays attention to this detail. He doesn't read.
Can you feel it?
Aziz,
it's 745 jobs
that you
have
pay
been created
attention
in the agri
to
sector.
detail. Because whatever you
Can you
said,
feel it?
It means that you came and you never even took time to read the story, even in the newspaper.
That's not fair.
Is he?
That is not fair. That's not fair.
Honorable Brahma, is he legitimate in asking that these monies have not been disbursed? He's suggesting, for instance, that some of the figures don't seem to tally. So, for instance, he mentions the IPEP.
You never misses
and says
1
that
penny for last year.
Nothing has gone.
This is mischief at the highest level. Aziz, if you allow me,
you don't want to be heckled.
This is mischief at the highest level.
Right. He doesn't want to be heckled.
If you read the first paragraph of the newspaper, said the government has at the end of January, so the member of parliament could easily file a question.
Oh,
listen,
to
ascertain.
I can assure you, Bright,
whether the Minister of Finance is being honest to the good people of this country, or to follow up at the controller.
I've got a question for Aziz,
we are not at the market.
Okay, Aziz,
when we at
you allow him.
When we at Balata or Makala, one of
and then I get you the chance
the
to
NDC, when you are speaking the truth, will always want to run for cover.
Okay, Brahma, please go.
This is a failing party that was rejected by the good people of this country, and they are afraid to be confronted with the facts. So any serious member of the NDC could file a question to challenge what the minister has said. That one, as of January, what he's saying he has released, he's done. You can ask the Minister of Trade, you can ask Mavis Howard Kumsin's ministry a question, you can ask any of the agencies that this story is attributed to. That is responsible legislation. You can file a question, but you are the same person saying that, I'm afraid the speaker will not admit my question. That is unfortunate. The speaker, suspect. You shouldn't even hazard that suspicion, because this speaker has admitted over 90 questions or more from members of the NDC.
You don't let us go.
And it is very unfair for you to come and sit here and say that the speaker, you suspect the speaker will not admit the question.
One key thing he raised, and which we're trying to rebut, is that this $1 million per constituency has not come. And you were suggesting that it is because the money should be disbursed based on perhaps proposals coming in. Is that what we're saying?
Let me explain to you. The IPEP, that is the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication Program that the government has decided to undertake. It's one of its flagship programs. And I tell you, government will not fail on that. Any of government's flagship programs, we are not going to fail. The One Village, One Dam is under that program. It's under that program, he doesn't know. 2, urban water supply within some parts of the country. For example, last week, the consultants came to my constituency to identify where they were going to set up those programs. You just don't say that, oh, the money is ready, so I've released it. It's not going to be released like how the common fund is released.
So proposals need to come.
You need to identify certain strategic programs and projects. Yes, I don't know if you feel the forms that were sent to the... We are talking to serious people in the country who are listening to serious discussions.
Please go.
It's true, and that's why
so, government will not just release money and just let it go to waste like we experienced under the NDC. 11-point-something billion for the road sector. After auditing, you end up having only 5.4 billion being certified. We are not going to do that. We want to use the hard-earned taxpayers' money to do the right thing. Yes, it's a government policy to support every constituency with $1 million, but we are not going to rush and just dissipate public funds. No, it's not going to happen.
Who has to bring the proposals? The authorities, the various...
Every constituency was asked to identify their needs. I, for one, I know Abeka, La Paz, Nyamiche area roads are very bad, so it's dear to my heart. So I sent it. I needed some drainage systems around Apemkwa Mancheman area. I put it on the program. So, thirdly, we needed some stamp pipes in certain areas. So the consultant, Emmanuel Asante and his team, together with my Nasara coordinator last week, went around those identified areas to ascertain what the proposals that I've put before them. If he hasn't done that for me, then that is his own problem. Okay. Because they think we are going to joke with this problem. We are not. We are a very serious government. We made a promise to the good people of Ghana. We know Ghanaians will ask us, you said we were going to do A, B, C, D. Were you able to do that within your 4-year term? And we have to be answerable.
So the money would only come after proposals have been made. And this is being done with the various development authorities.
I want you to ask Abdulaziz whether he sent his request
to the... He would ask me...
So let me go to him. He's explained why the money hasn't come.
And why it has been released, some have been released now.
You should be satisfied now, Honorable Aziz.
Right. My friend and brother is struggling.
I'm not. God forbid.
Look, common fund. A fund that is a creation of law, provided for in the Constitution. We are even struggling to deal with common fund. We are a member of Parliament. Third quarter common fund. Have you received it?
I'm asking
you. Third quarter 2017.
When you were leaving office. 2017. When you were leaving office, had you paid?
I thought you just said on this platform
that quarters had not been paid.
It's not true. It's not true.
When did you come to Parliament?
It's not true.
When did you come to Parliament?
It's not about when I came to Parliament. It's about the facts.
Honorable Buama, has third quarter 2017 been paid?
No.
It has not been paid?
It hasn't.
Okay.
If you are struggling,
I'm not.
If Kenoforiata, take it easy, Buama.
Allow him.
The finance minister that we are told is proven to be a national asset is struggling to pay even the common fund to assemblies and members of parliament to deal with basic challenges at the constituency and district levels. If government is struggling, I'm not sure you haven't paid because we are wicked, because you don't have the money. You are promising to do 1 million per constituency that you failed to do for 2017. And when we are being told...
He says you have not put in your proposal, that's why the money...
They have not called for any proposal from anybody.
They have.
They haven't done that. It's not true.
Made public?
It is not true.
Is it been made public or it is known to you alone?
It's not true.
No, Honorable Buama,
it is not true.
Is it a public...
It is not true.
Document you have or it is made public?
Go to an office at the castle.
Where?
Find out.
You see,
even in listen, even in the newspapers,
is that the IPEP
there was an advert for some project under the IPEP. So if you are not a diligent member of Parliament, you won't know.
But another one says, how come it's been made public, but you don't know?
It is not true. I challenge Buama on this your platform that they have not engaged members of Parliament on anything in respect of IPEP. In fact, if they have done that, then they are dealing with the members of the majority side, who they are very fond of doing. Right. Come on, fam.
Let me go to George and come.
Look.
I said George. Give me a few minutes. Let me go to Johnny. Johnny, Good morning once again. Let's take some
comments. Of course, some messages on WhatsApp says, Mustafa and T-Poly says, Tamale says Napo is right because free SHS policy is not going down well with NDC because they couldn't do it and MPP has done it. Those corrupt officials should prepare for us. We're coming after them like Akai. TV3 New Day, good morning. Before Ghana can solve the issue of corruption in public offices, we need to totally eradicate corruption in the security service in the nation. I believe all Ghanaian citizens should march and campaign against corruption. Osman Burkisan in Tamale. Good morning, TV3. I'm watching you live. What is wrong if policeman sleeps with a fully grown woman? The police didn't rape nor defile. They didn't sleep with someone's wives. Should the policeman sleep with a man? Should the policeman go and sleep with animals or trees? Okay, what is wrong with Ghanaians? Emmanuel and Adonikrom. Well, there's a moral bit that is being tossed in there, the UN's own regulations, which they are so to have flouted. If it's not true that NDC free Chikata, it is not true that NDC free Chikata. President Kufuor granted him presidential pardon. Chikata later rejected it and went back to court to clear his name. Michael Amini in the UK says NDC distances themselves from the distasteful statements made by Neil Ante van der Poel that future NDC government will free Abu Gapele is just hypocrisy and laughable because we all witnessed former NDC ministers paid with the taxpayers' money signed a petition releasing Mugabe and co from prisons who were jailed by competent court for their barbaric comments. NDC releasing Abu Gapele from prison is not any big deal for them because we know the NDC as a party that has no respect for the rule of law. I say this NDC should spare our ears with their hypocrisy and political rhetorics. You promised to create jobs when you voted into power. Now you are maltreating year beneficiaries working for over 5 months without allowance. Nantoma in Tamale. MP for Mion, you should never expect anything positive from St. Rollins when he feels comfortable with the ruling government than his own party. Raymond in Achimota. Good morning. There's a saying that salt doesn't give praise to itself. Well, you say the salt doesn't praise itself. In Chilean Kamfunio, that's what you mean. MPP are always praising themselves. 2020, we go show na Nabaki and Siakwa saying that. Yakubo in Walewale says, good morning, Bright. I'm for my member of parliament from Young. NDC will distance itself from the comments made by Neil Ante van der Poel because it is wrong, a wrong thing made by Abu Gapele to serve the country the way he served our nation. But I'll also suggest to MPP government to pay their teachers their salary arrears without turning it to propaganda and lies like our vice president's office is gradually becoming the office of propaganda. President Rawlings' political power is to free thieves. Please tell us, between 1981 and 2000, a single political figure prosecuted during that era, or after that, 2001, that political corruption began in Ghana? Okay. Good morning, TV3. Tell the MPP to stop employing the agricultural college graduates under the year. They were all well trained for proper job, not year. If the MPP doesn't stop this, I don't think any agricultural student, agriculture will do well in Ghana, though they are investing in the agri sector. Michael in Bongo says, give them better jobs. TV3 New Day, good morning. Before Ghana can solve the issue of corruption in public offices, we need to be totally eradicate corruption in the security service in the nation. I believe all Ghanaian citizens should march and campaign against corruption. Osman Burkison in Tamale. And Masaudu in Kumasi Bantama says, NDC is now distancing itself from the statement made by Neil Ante van der Poel concerning Abu Gapele and Asibit. Is it that the public outcry is too huge because they have planned to free them when they come to power? But Neil Ante's okra mouth couldn't keep quiet. The NDC should stop dreaming of coming back to power because they will remain in opposition for a very, very long time. It's obvious that our judiciary cannot escape the manipulation of unseen hands. One can read subsequent judgments and draw conclusions, be that as it may. We should not encourage that because our judiciary is supposed to be independent and free from manipulation. To free the jailed convicts can only be done based on law. Alaji Willie P. in Efiekoma. And we're asking what has happened to the digital addressing system. The MPP communicators seem not to be talking about it. I am from Amanting Brights. Let your people come and verify the so-called cassava processing factory. Abdul Fatahi. Right. Say there's Gary factory waiting for you. You want to check it out?
That's a Montana. Okay. All right. Let's wrap up our conversation. Honorable Aziz, you were wrapping up when we had to take the comments.
Just on the issue of common fund, just last week, HISPAC, the Health Insurance Service Providers Association of Ghana, HISPAC, has threatened to return to the cash and carry system if arrests owed its members by the National Health Insurance Authority are not paid. According to HISPAC, most of its members are owed about 20 months of claims, a situation that threatens their operations. This was speaking to CTFM, the public relations officer of the association, Joseph Christian Amu. This is not a student speaking. So the center cannot hold owing about 20 months in respect of health insurance, something that you claim had collapsed under President Mahama. This is some common fine you are struggling to pay. And you come and tell us that you have released 1.1 billion to 1D1 Free Senior High School and we should clap us for you. Interesting.
Okay.
You may have lied to win power, but you cannot lie to govern.
I'm grateful. Honorable Bama, wrap up just a minute.
That has been your cliche this morning, so we don't begrudge you. Health insurance. We inherited a debt of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, and we've paid over 900 million cedis.
How much you owe today?
It's on record.
How much you owe today?
If you were diligent, you wouldn't have left us with 1.2 million.
So, how much you owe today?
Right, this government is a serious government. We are doing what is right within the public purse and the public within the law, and we believe that President Akufo-Addo is on track. Will deliver our manifesto promises and will be returned in 2020. Thank you.
Grateful. Patrick Boama is the Member of Parliament for the Okaikwe Central Constituency, a member of the NPP. Honorable Mohammed Abdulaziz is a Member of Parliament for the Mion Constituency, a member of the NDC. Gentlemen, grateful for your Tuesday morning with us.
Thank you.
And those of you who sent your comments, we're also grateful. We'll read the rest when we return after this break. But sports is up next. Stay with us.
We have an act which is law to govern the Ghana film industry. But beyond its passage in 2016, it looks as if the passage of the law is an end in itself. And that is why we are here.
Did you follow through? You know, I know that there were a lot of consultations that happened prior to the sponsoring of that bill in Parliament by the former minister. But after that, did we follow through?
Yeah, we have, but that's what we are doing now. Because otherwise, then we would be doing this advocacy.
How potent is this law if there's no LI, for example?
I mean, it's not active if there's no LI. Because the National Film Authority have to be set up.
Right.
Now, that film authority would, if you look at all those subsections and all those things, they would activate that. One, there's classification. There's funding.
Right.
There's supposed to be a fund that will help train people, that will help research, that will help sometimes even fund films, whether short films, documentaries, animation, and all that. And some of, I mean, the laudable things that we used to see on even TV.
Right.
You know, recently, let's go back to a station, you know, telecast something that was pure nudity.
Exactly.
And at the time that they showed it was wrong. What did the Minister for Information say? Because this law
was not active at the time.
But look at the classification, and there's a place where they've written not suitable for television.
Exactly.
So if you brought something of that sort into the country, you go for classification and they'll classify it for you.
Right.
You understand? So then if you brought something in that manner, which is full of nudity or even violence, they could classify it in that manner that you may not show it on television. Now, how do we classify our stuff? The television stations have basically taken the right to do what they want to do.
Where is the film authority? Where is it? Have we formed it? We have the composition here, and we'll go through it quickly. We have the composition here. So we're supposed to
have...
This
is the governing board.
Exactly, the governing board. And it's all stated here in black and white. Where is it?
Basically, it's not in place. If you read the act, it says that by the day the president assents to it, there is established a national film authority. So one would have assumed that on the day the president assented to this bill to become an act, the board would have been composed and inaugurated.
Mrs. Catherine Afeku and Dr. Ziblim are there at the ministry. Have they had this conversation with you? as to what the forward march is, because by December, when this was passed, Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjei was leaving office. So it was Catherine Afeku and Dr. Ziplim who were coming on. Have they had a conversation with you?
Yes, we have had some conversation.
To what end?
Towards the way forward. The ministry, led by the minister, also has some challenges. We have to face it. And so it is not everything that they will be in a position to do. Theirs is to spearhead with issues of policies and all that. This is something which should be handled by the president of Ghana.
No, but the president has a representative, which is the minister.
Yes.
The former administration, I remember that President Mahama spoke about it.
Yes.
And then the minister at the time sponsored the bill to Parliament,
yes,
which is why we have this law, Act 935.
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, government is a continuum, we're told.
Yeah.
So now the law has been passed. It says in here that by the time the president grants assent to it, we must have the authority in place.
Yes.
We don't have it for 1 year.
Yes.
What are we talking about?
Yes,
that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
No, but I mean, in terms of, I think the minister should be moved, because I can't go there and move this. But of course, that's why we are doing this advocacy.
Yes.
The advocacy is for us to push them to do it, to act, so that we can have our LI and this National Film Authority coming to be. Otherwise, we'll be sitting for another 10 years. You know why I'm saying that? Because there's a backstory to this whole thing.
Okay.
This thing started with our forebears many years ago.
I know this took more than 2 decades. Or
Yes. And so if you add the 1 year, that's, I mean, we've already spent, that's our 21, 22 years. That's where I am entering. Why would we do that to ourselves?
What's the difficulty? What's holding anybody from wanting to commit to it? Because if I get the indication I get from this is right, this will promote our social, cultural heritage as Ghanaians.
Besides that,
this will promote tourism.
The kind of investment that will come in, the kind of money that will come in. I mean, it's so huge. You can't even.
So what's holding anybody, Mr. Bosumpempo? What's holding that?
I don't know. I think it's the political.
You train filmmakers and all manner of people in the arts. You know the ins and outs of it. Maybe it's something. Tell us. I don't know.
I can't tell, because you see, truth is that when you talk about these things, then they would look at it and push it into that kind of political corner and make it, oh, you belong to this side, that's right. But even with all the two parties that dominate our political terrain now, none of them were ready to push it. So I don't know what is wrong. Maybe they look at us and say, oh, these guys are just, you know, like they don't take us serious.
But Mr. Sami-Fisher,
because you can't start something in 1996, and get it in 2016, and then come and sit down instead of activating it. Sit down for 1 year and nothing is done.
Mr. Sami-Fisher, we are told every time how tourism and the creative arts is about the 3rd largest earner. And we're told that every time, in every budget, and every... Now, this is a golden opportunity for us to solidify what we have. And we're pussyfooting. How do you feel as president of all the actors in Ghana? How do you feel?
I think that it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because our people are out of job. There's no production. There's nothing going on. The film industry is almost dead, if not dead. And this is what we think holds the key. Because this is what will sanitize the industry. This is what will put the structures in place. And so if the National Film Authority is not put in place, we have no future.
Yeah, but you see, it goes beyond that. Besides us, we're talking of the Ghana as in
a bigger picture.
I mean, the vacuum that is there is so huge. It's so huge. Because you see, formerly, we used to rally around the Ghana Film Industry Corporation. And then they sold it to become Ghana, and now it's even off entirely. Nigeria, this same kind of laws that we have here, it's been pushed through the National Film Corporation. Do you get it? Because they basically, these regulations and all those things go through them. Do you get? But in Ghana, who is doing it? Because as soon as this act came into being, the old classification board,
Cinematography Act 1961 was repealed.
And all those things that they have created, the laws that they created, were repealed. So now there's a vacuum. let's even talk about productions in terms of international productions, where we have co-productions and all that.
Right.
When people come into this country, how are we regulating
From
that?
the Deadly Voyages to all the other movies.
Those days, I mean, the kind of co-productions that we're doing, I mean, to benefit us. Right. Now, are we doing the same thing now?
We don't
people
have
just
just come and shoot.
Yes, come and shoot. And they go, they pick people that they want to work with. They go. But there are regulations everywhere you go to. You know, you go to other countries, they tell you, the quota that you bring in, you can't bring 100%. You can't bring all your crew in here.
Right.
Bring 40%, and we contribute 60%.
So there's no protection for our people
at all. The guilds and associations and all those, no, there's no protection for you anymore. But if you go elsewhere, when you even enter their territory, you register as a temporary member of their guilds and associations, and they make some money because you're coming to take my job. You're coming into my territory, and you're coming to take my job. Yeah. All those things are there. So if you're talking about job creation, where's the job
How
creation?
soon do we need this? How soon do we need the LI to activate this?
Like yesterday. Like a year ago.
Are we putting an ultimatum on it? I'm interested in this because I'm also an arts person, so I'm interested in this. Are we putting an ultimatum on this?
Yeah, basically, we're looking at this thing coming to life this year.
This year is wide. There's 10 months more to come.
Oh, yeah, of course, because the duty bearers are supposed to champion the cause. We, as in industry players, cannot put together the necessary allies. And so the duty bearers would have to be engaged.
I remember last year, our friends in the Ashanti region went on a demonstration for this. You remember last year, they went on a demonstration for this, and they want that the LI be pushed because they think that was the panacea. Now is a golden opportunity. The minister watches TV3. The Flagstaff House watches TV3. Give them your message. Those are your cameras. Mr. Bosumi, I'll start with you.
Okay. I'll say our sister.
This is your camera, Mr. Bosumi.
That's my camera, okay. I'll say our sister, the minister, should give us that kind of attention that we need. Film people, please. We know you have the time for tourism and the rest, and you've devoted so much time for that. Give us just even 10% of that time, and let's fix this. You see, you're thinking about the Creative Arts Council and all those kind of things. They've not gotten to this level yet. This one have gotten there. We've got our act. We have the law. The next stage is as a LI. Let's do this one. Use this one as a trial. Because if you can't do this small one, honestly, I don't believe you can do the big one. That is my message.
That's Mr. George Bosompem, his PRO for the Ghana Academy of Film and Television Arts, and their collaboration with the Ghana Actors Skills. Mr. Samfishin, that's your camera as well. Cam 3. Give your message out there. The president watches NewDay.
All right, right. I would want to appeal to the president, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, to work on ensuring that he will do the appointments and inaugurate the National Film Authority. Beyond that, we are aware that our Honorable Minister, Madam Catherine Afiku, is there for us. We know that some of the time she is constrained, but we believe that she is ever ready to ensure that the Ghana film industry will strive. The Ghana film industry will not collapse under her watch. We are ready as industry players, and we are going to give her all the support that she needs to ensure that this and other policies go through.
I'm grateful. I read about film villages in the MPP's manifesto. I'm yet to see one anyway. But thank you very much, Mr. George Bosompem, for your time.
Thank you.
And by the way, Mr. George Bosompem was my producer on Bands Alive in 2008 and is lecturer to most of our directors here, including Harriet Azumda, who's been screaming to my ears this morning. And Mr. Sami Fishin is president of the Ghana Actors Guild. I wish you well, gentlemen, and I'm with you in this advocacy to get this properly done. There's more here on NewDay, but let me say happy birthday congratulations rather to Bishop Nicholas Teria Minta of the World Evangelism Ministry in Teshio. 44 years in pastoral duty. Congratulations to you, and keep shepherding the sheep into the Lord's vineyard. We'll be back after this break.
Welcome back. Let's delve into some entertainment news now. Yesterday, you waited for the big announcement, and it certainly happened here on midday. But what were we talking about? The merger between TV3 or GMG in general and the biggest Music Awards, VGMA. But I don't know too much about that content, so I'm going to be talking to Mr. Francis Doku. He's the General Manager for MG Digital and Radio here at MG. Good morning.
Good morning.
So yesterday we all waited for the big announcement, but tell us, give us a sense of what that big announcement was.
Well, the big announcement was to announce to our viewers, announce to our listeners, and to the entire Ghanaian community the fact that we have gone into partnership with Charterhouse for this year's Vodafone Ghana Music Awards. As you know, we are a very big media organization. Our business is content. And so we felt that we needed to see how we can collaborate with one of the biggest content produced in Ghana and see how we can partner. And so when we did that, we felt that we needed the public to know about it. So the announcement was meant to let our people know that we are now in partnership with Charterhouse with it.
So now you are in partnership with Charterhouse. Then what? What should viewers expect from you?
Well, what viewers should expect is a full rack of the exciting content that Charterhouse produces every year. I mean, if you're in this country, you will know that one of the biggest television properties is the Vodafone Ghana Music Award. It happens once every year. And around it, there are a lot of conversations about who's going to be nominated, who was nominated, who's going to win, who won, you know, and all that. And the night of the VGMAs is one of the biggest nights in entertainment in Ghana. And so we expect our viewers, our listeners, and the people we engage on the digital platform to look forward to the entire program. It's a festival which starts from the announcement of the nominees. It will take place this Friday. On Friday, 2nd March, the whole day will be dedicated to announcing who comes in which category. So from about 10, 11 to about 6 p.m. every hour, there will be an announcement on TV3 and on our digital platforms and on our radio platforms as well. As you know, we have 4 radio stations. 3 FM, Onia FM, Connect FM in Takrady and Akuma in Kumasi. So platforms. And then there is also the nominees party, which is like a launch of the VGMAs in 2018, which will take place on Saturday. And we'll make sure that we bring that also to our viewers, our listeners, and our online consumers. Then again, there's also the nominees jam. On 24th March, there will be the nominees jam in Cape Coast. You know, how the VGMA is done is that it moves from place to place. So there are a lot of people beyond just Accra will experience it. And this year is going to Cape Coast for the nominees. So all the people who are nominated would go and party to the people of Cape Coast. Then we'll have the main event, which will take place on 14th April. And on that main event, I think the announcement yesterday by our group CEO, Mrs. Peleso Mensah, and the CEO of Charterhouse, Mrs. Theresa Yode, they mentioned that on the night, the exclusive showing on the red carpet belongs to TV3. So you cannot watch the red carpet on any other platform but on TV3 and on our social media and our digital platform. So it's exclusive to us. Anywhere else you see it, it's bootlegged or pirated, you know. And then the main event would also take place, and we urge our viewers that after the red carpet, they should stay with TV3 to watch the main event as well. And after that, there will be a nominees party on 28th April, and that is the celebration party to climax everything. So you see that it's a whole season, it's a whole festival starting from now, especially on announcement on Friday till the last party.
So where does this put TV3 MG on the platform? I mean, how distinct is it? Because I'm sure people are thinking, oh well, probably we've heard this before, it's been done before. What's so special about it for MG?
Well, the World Cup is done before. It's played. It's been played since 1934. But every year, media organizations fight to get a right to air because your consumers want it. Exactly. We think that this is a very big property, and our consumers, our viewers, our listeners, our audience want it. And so we thought that it would be good if there was an opportunity to have it, we'll give it to them. So we have it now, and we will make sure that we give our audience the best with this particular one, and hope that how well we do at Charterhouse, we convinced to keep us for subsequent years. So for us, it's a very big deal. Most of the media houses will want to have this, and we felt that if there was opportunity to do it, being the biggest television in the country, we should get it and give our audience that content that they deserve.
Well, guys, certainly you heard it from us here. We do care about you, and that's why we've gone into this partnership. So, of course, it is meant for you, so patronize it when everything starts. I have been speaking to Mr. Francis Doku. He's the General Manager for MG Digital and Radio, and he's been telling us about the VGMA Awards that is oncoming and the fact that TV3 has exclusive rights. TV3 and its partner stations, all MG platform here, will be giving you videos up to date. Every single thing that happens on the VGMA platform right from here. So don't change the station, don't change the dial. Stay tuned in here because we have it all for you. Anyway, guys, we have more here on New Day. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and in wrapping up the conversation, let's cross over to Barcelona, Spain, where my colleague Alfredo Cansi is standing by for the World Conference on Technology, and that's all to launch a very special Samsung product. Alfred, good morning, and how are you doing?
Good morning, Johnny. I'm doing very well, and good morning to your viewers as well.
How's the conference panning out? Tell us. You've been in Spain since Sunday. What's going on?
Absolutely, Johnny. Thank you very much. I've been at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, specifically the Europa Plaza. That's where the Mobile World Congress is taking place. It's been a very amazing experience. And this year, the 2018 Mobile World Congress, which is one of the biggest events on the mobile calendar, is underway. And it's proving to be a very exciting year for flagships. And you know that every year, the world's biggest smartphone manufacturers descend onto Barcelona. It's been going on for many, many, many years now to announce their new innovations, their new phones. And this year, the Galaxy X9 and S9 Plus, which was unveiled by Samsung at the what they call the Unpacked Event 2018. The Unpacked 2018, or that particular Unpacked event, is an event that precedes the beginning of the Mobile World Congress every other year. And that's the period or that night that Samsung unveils its new innovations for its very cherished customers. So this year was the S9 and the S9 Plus leading the charge here at the Mobile Congress. Lots of people who have come here, over 2,300 exhibitors have gathered to showcase their newest technologies and most innovative products. But I can tell you for a fact that the Samsung S9 Plus and that's S9 and S9 Plus is exciting a lot of people and leading the charge for the many people who have gathered here.
How are the African countries specifically responding to these new innovations, knowing that Africa is also set to want to take the world by storm in terms of technology?
Yes, that's very true. Thank you, Johnny, for that very good question. You see, for example, Ghana, the mobile penetration is still growing, as against if you juxtapose it with the level of penetration in, for example, Nigeria and then Kenya, obviously because of their technology levels and then also the population size as well. But it's been exciting. We've been speaking to some Africans who are here, and they've been sharing their level of expectation, especially because, as you said, the mobile phone has become an integral part of our lives. We can really do nothing these days without the mobile phone. And so these new innovations is exciting a lot of the African countries and the representatives who are here to be committed to the fact that indeed we can't do nothing but just hook on to the technology wave that is actually blowing. And it's becoming a lot more easier because these innovations are making life a little more easier, and the B2B, as they call it, the business-to-business technological innovations, also improving doing business. And these innovations we are seeing at the Mobile World Congress is also proving actually to meet the match. Robotics is also on display here. Samsung has been collaborating with NASA for the past 18 months to bring a space experience to its customers so that you don't necessarily have to get into a space shuttle to experience jumping on the moon. There is actually a technology now that has been imported into the S9 and the S9 Plus, which was unveiled here at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, where if you have the VR gear that you put on, and then you put the S9 or S9 Plus into the gear, you can actually activate that feeling and get, the space experience, be hopping on the moon. And so that's one of the things we've been seeing. They've also talked about the fact that you can actually reimagine your own camera experience. For example, you, Johnny, I know that you like to make people laugh a lot. Now, they've put in a technology where you can do an emoji of yourself. And have people laugh with that emoji. Business to business experience, they've also introduced the DEX experience. DEX, D-E-X, is an app that enables the connection of your phone to your keyboard. Or your phone will be the keyboard to connect to your desktop. That has also been improved.
Lots and lots of innovations there. But that's some good news coming there from Barcelona. Alfred, we thank you very much for your time, and we wish you a safe journey back home. Feast your eyes and grab some if you can. That's our colleague there, Alfred Okansi, reporting from the World Tech Congress in Barcelona, Spain. And that's how the cookie crumbles here. So we're going back to Amma and Bright.
A new one there.
Yes, there's a new phone. And imagine what your emoji will look like.
No, Johnny, let me make a...
this morning,
look,
so maybe it would help.
This show ends at 9.
Yeah.
The first person who calls my phone after the show ends, I'm going to buy that person one of those things.
People,
do you want your phone to jump?
To put it on airplane mode until later in the afternoon. You say, "Oh, are you sure you called? Well, it didn't come through."
No, but
please, we know you. Which catcher?
Yes, but that would mean that I have to pick the phone. So if you call and I pick, then I'm going to buy you one.
Let's say happy birthday to Gladys Nyako. It's her birthday today. Maybe you can get her. You can get her one of the phones. Gladys Nyako. This from Cyril Dobe.
That's if she calls me.
No, but she doesn't know your number. How does she call you?
Yeah, that's
part of the whole
it's a game.
trick.
So she has to get my number and call. Yes.
Okay. Gladys Nyako, happy birthday to you. You stand a chance of getting the new Samsung phone, and Bright will buy it so Alfred can bring it to you from Barcelona. Yeah. And
it's just a phone call and place the order with Alfred, and then he brings it.
You did do too, no?
I'm even surprised. Anyway, guys, let me say a good morning to all staff of Achimota Hospital and also to CFCC, my ministry. I mean, my children, their Sunshine Band teachers, especially. Good morning
I buy
to
them
you.
chocolate next week.
You buy them
chocolate
next week. People, you've heard
from Google Play Store.
From Mrs. Sopon.
We want real while we can choose.
Let's say belated happy birthday to you, Andrew O'Kane of the Prudential Bank, and also to you, Mr. Bente. Happy birthday belated to all of you, and please enjoy your Tuesdays. Yeah. It's that Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. And don't forget that we're hitting first match and sixth match. And at BN Pub in Wash, we're doing There's a lot of football matches. There's a lot of Mutu. There's a lot of so much to do.
And there's a holiday coming up, so
we should invite them to come into our corner. Enough of the Jolu and the East Lagos. Come to Bubuash. You understand?
I said I don't know.
No, it's not that you know there. We want you to experience it.
I will be there with you. When you invite me, you know I'm always ready to come.
We'll invite you.
Please do.
And we'll buy you some song.
Please do. I need it. Anyway, guys, have a blessed day. See you same time.